I just want to welcome everyone to the committee meeting on March 16th. It is 1:31 p.m. We're meeting via Zoom conferencing. Just like to call the meeting to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? Mayor Murphy?
No.
Councillor Rosner?
No.
Councillor Sisson?
No.
Councillor Buchwald?
No.
Can I have a confirmation of the agenda, please? Could I have a mover? Merv? And all in favor? Perfect. Is there any pecuniary interest or of the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Were there any errors or omissions with the minutes of March 2nd, 2021? Seeing none, could I have a mover just to approve the minutes, please? Councillor Sisson, thank you. All those in favor? We do not have any delegations today, so I see Kevin is with us now, so we can move on to the recreation report. So Kevin, I will give you the floor and you can go over your report with council. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Kev.
Anyways, with the arena report, we're moving forward. Our neighboring rinks are removing the ice at the end of March. I guess that was a question I had. Are we moving forward? The 28th is kind of the last day of ice with our neighbors. The other few rinks that are open are like, you know, they're bigger facilities. So Sunday, March 28th will be our last day of ice.
I think that's reasonable.
That's over the years, the end of March, like, you know, the last Sunday kind of deal, is when usually the ice removes for our local rinks, like, you know, Barry's Bay, Cobden. So and they're doing the same this year. So
Has there been any request to extend it, Kevin, from any of the leagues or no?
There's been some inquiries, but just in question. And then when there was a few, I called our neighbors and they said, no, we're removing the ice at that given time too. So like, you know,
yeah,
I think the bigger facilities like Renfrew and Pembroke, I think they may have had a little more of a commitment from their junior A teams. So anyways, well, our outdoor rink, Mother Nature shut that down for us, so we don't do a whole lot about that, but that's the way it goes. Like the Eagle's Nest, the junior Bs have been having the control scrimmages here, so we're allowing 14 people up there just to get a few more people in the facility, and keeping their social distancing. So that's working. So they have 2 more games, the 2 following Sundays, so they'll play. So things are going well. The Eganville Better Association downtown, Chris Lapine or Claire Lapine is looking for some suggestions for some areas for park benches kind of deal. And anyways, I was talking to her and we've come up with a few ideas kind of deal. So I guess it's just kind of in our hands to see where we best locate them and put them. Emma took first aid course. I attended a meeting last week about the winter games and the vaccinations and the summer programs. So the winter games, as it stands right now, is they were still looking for a coordinator at that given time. Maybe they have one by now, but that was still up in the air. So anyways, that was a hot topic for a while at our committee meeting, because the sooner they have someone in place, the sooner we can get things in place. So I'm not sure what's going to go on there. We're having another meeting in April, a recreation committee from Renfrew County. So maybe we'll have more information at that time.
So Kevin, if I may, job offers and job descriptions went out yesterday. So they may have a coordinator now. I just haven't had an opportunity to speak to the chair.
Okay, yeah. We talked about our summer programs. Everybody was kind of just seeing what their future brings here, and just our minor ball, our soccer leagues, and even our swim programs, where everybody's kind of just waiting and seeing what's going on. They're all applying for those positions, but it's a waiting game right now. Things to discuss. Beaver Tails. He's inquiring about a couple dates. There's one date in April he's calling, and that may change. What's council's feeling on that, on those dates? He, like, Nick's very upfront. He's going to get the permit, and he's going to make a donation back to the community. So
Yes, 1 second there, Kevin. Merv, go ahead.
Don't you think the day in April would be too soon? The more Canada, the center of the summer, there'll be more tourists here, there'll be more people around rather than there would be sometime in April.
I was
Yeah,
just going to
no.
say, though, those are the 3 dates that he's requesting, Kevin, and then he's willing to do the 3 dates. He's not just wanting us to pick one, or
No, he's willing to do the 3. The one in April, he has another inquiry from another small town, so he's just waiting to see what their input is on that.
I was surprised he didn't want May 2 for.
go ahead there, Tim.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the April date is probably gonna be a good one, because there's a lot of people with cabin fever, and if they see something come to the community, I'm sure they will definitely look forward to having something that's a little more spring and summer like. The earlier, probably the better, as far as things go, to get things up and running, and maybe more beneficial to the community because of what's out there right now. The options aren't there, so I'm sure if Beaver Tails moved in April for the weekend, they'd do well.
Thanks, Tim. And Councillor Rosner.
Yeah, Kevin, just confirm, he picked those dates, or did you suggest these dates to him?
No, he picked those dates.
Okay.
No, the only one that was going to be he called last week, and was the one in April that he had another interesting community looking for a date. So that one may change. I don't know. It's going to be up to him at that given time.
No, I don't have a problem with any of those 3 dates there, Kevin, and council. I guess any way we can to get people to stop in our community, I think, is beneficial to the local businesses. And I know a lot of people sometimes don't utilize our locals, so it's kind of nice to get some people out when we do have an attraction as well. But I think it's any way we can do to get people to stop and support our other businesses in town as well, be it they're competing or not, I think is beneficial, and they are going to contribute money to your, I'm guessing it's going to be going, where are the funds going to be? Are we going to the food bank again, Kevin, or?
He at that given time, he said he had a couple spots. He was talking food bank. He's also talking the Royal Canadian Legion. He was open for suggestions too. He said, where would you like to? So I said, well, let's just leave it for now. What we did last year worked quite well. So clothing bank could be another location too. So he's willing.
And then Jen, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Just Kev, the 2 things I would say to Nick, there needs to be better signage. Number 1, let's remember that we have to warn the neighbors. But the other thing is that the way he was situated the last 2 times, you could drive by and not even know he was there. So if we could find a more prominent spot in that parking lot, just so that, people go, whoa, he's there, and not just, me and Brent standing and Annette standing around waiting to get our beaver tails.
Yeah, the the one thing with that unit that he had there last year, the window was only on one side of the vehicle. So you got to situate it kind of where it works the best for the public too. By the tourist information booth, that can work, but then you're sort of blocking Jack's entrance on that one side or eliminating it. So anyways, we can work on that too. That's doable.
Yes, go ahead, Annette.
I just had a question, Kevin. When you were first saying about it, you said he was going to get a permit and make donations. So, and the mayor covered notice, so that's great. So is he getting a permit and making a donation, or is he, I just want to clarify that.
That's what he told me, Annette, that he was going to purchase a permit and make a donation.
Thank you.
So it kind of, I guess by show of hands, I guess everyone seems to be in approval of Beaver Tails and the 3 dates moving forward. Yes, Tim, go ahead.
One thing I'm going to ask the rest of council, there's a lot of people in the community that need support, especially in these trying times that we've been in the last year. Is there a way we can maybe set up a little bit of, I'm not going to say a lottery system, but a system where, you know, if they're in 1 week that they go to one and then, you know, kind of, and it's hard to prioritize, but again, this is up to council to decide, but in order to make it fair for, you know, a few of the people in the community. And I know definitely the Legion and the food bank are definitely good places to go. And that's not what I'm trying to take away, but there are other places too that may come along and ask for support and help. And is there a way we can kind of, you know, spread the wealth, so to speak, or would we just stay with those 2 entities?
No, I think we've got lots of need in our community, Tim. I don't think you're off base at all. And I kind of like the idea of, you know, sort of if you come on the April weekend and you give to the food bank, when you come on Canada Day, would you give to the senior center or the clothing bank or the Legion or Rotary? So it's very interesting. And I think maybe Kevin, you and Nick could talk about this because there is a lot of need in our community.
Okay, yeah, I'm not speaking for Nick, but I don't foresee he'd have an issue if we give him a direction. I don't think there'd be an issue with him donating to one organization to another one. That wouldn't be a problem. The curling rink, Mark and I were up there last week with JL Richards and chit-chatted about the entrance wheelchair ramp, I should say. And he's working on some drawings. He hasn't got back to us yet to see what's going to work the best, but that's in motion. Where it is right now, I'm not 100% sure, but we were up there last week, took some measurements, and Gerald Priestley was there also, so we had his input, and so I'm not sure where that's going to come in or how it's going to be priced, but anyways, it's in motion. I called Gerber's Nursery. They're doing the flower planters again on the main bridge. So he said no rush until mid-April kind of deal. So at that time we'll take them up to him, and Frank will doctor them up and make them look good for for the end of May.
Please pass on our thanks to Gerber's.
I will, yeah. So that's my recreation report. Any inputs or?
Kevin, and then
Yes.
You said in your report you're working on a quote for labor for the dog park you had stated?
Yes. Yeah, Jason and I are kind of getting some ideas. And then the thing with that is too, like we have that location, but we want to make sure that's where we want to put it. Like, you know, we're open for other suggestions kind of deal.
Yes,
So-
go ahead, Tim.
It was brought to my attention last week, actually. That is a big part of our snow dump when we're dumping. Is there an alternative? And I know Jason's not in, Kevin, but has Jason ever talked about another alternative to have a snow dump? Because we don't have an overabundance of real estate in the village to go with our snow. So that's the other question that was brought to my attention.
Yeah, no, we talked about that too, and also we talked about right beside Daryl's geotube too. There's a chunk of a parcel of property there, but it like, is that going to work? And the other thing with that is, like Daryl said, like down the road, if there's ever expansion, are we going to be, like, you know, if there's expansion, we may be going that way. I don't know, but we have to look at a few other things to make sure when we do start, we're where we want it.
Absolutely, and something we really have to make 100% sure of, that we're not, you know, jeopardizing our space either. At the same time, make sure that that's done 100% and we're not moving anybody around. I'd hate to get off the ground and start putting stuff up and then, you know, realize it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, just further to what Tim is saying, I don't want to limit us either. And there was talk of possibly putting it further down towards the bridge, which I think Brent, if I'm not mistaken, Brent, you went and saw that piece of land as well. But maybe when you and Jason have your heads together, perhaps you should come to a committee meeting together so that any questions or concerns, we can deal with them all at one time so we're all on the same page.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Jack. You're on mute, Jack.
The other question, those diagrams we had last week or last meeting we're looking at it. There was two different sizes of the park. Have we even nailed down what size you're going to make it?
No,
So that's still up in the air too, right?
that's right, Jack. Yeah. There's nothing in stone whatsoever yet.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll be going into stone. That's the other thing. It won't be sand. Like, you know.
But Jack, on that diagram, it had dog park A, dog park B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering which one.
Well, I think dog park B was if the wash station was put in. So the original one, and I can resubmit it, and that was the one that Steve had created. I think it was March of last year, with Heather as well. But no, I think dog park B was just if we did put in a wash station, then it was moved over. So by, I guess, really, and I know we had that in our new and unfinished business, but really, we can't really discuss it any further until Kevin and Jason have their conversation. So I guess, Kevin, how much time do you think, like if we, I don't know, if we gave you guys 2 weeks to figure it out when Jason's here next time, is that something that you guys would be able to come back to council with, or what's your timeline?
I think that's doable. In 2 weeks' time, we could have an idea, or like give you a, like, you know, a rough estimation anyways, or an estimate.
Tim, go ahead.
One thing, I don't know, Brent, if 2 weeks would be enough, and I think Kevin had touched on a little bit of a subject there with as far as the sand and not, or stone and not sand. We might want to take a walk around the perimeter with a shovel or a bar and drive it and see if the actual installation of the fence posts is going to be the cost we were quoted. Because if we have to start drilling, or, you know, to secure like a chain link or something like that, it's going to be a lot more than digging some holes with an auger. So once we come to a consensus on the location, we want to make sure that the structure itself going up around the outside isn't going to get blown out of proportion with the cost either of installation.
Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks. And if we are going to hit rock, and you know what, I'm probably going to sound silly saying this, but there are the removable fences for pools, and they are child-proof and pet-proof, but aren't drilled into the ground. They're latched down almost like tent poles. They might be more expensive to install, but perhaps less expensive than trying to drill in. And would that in fact make it easier for cleanup if you could pick up a section and go in and clean up? I'm just spitballing, and that might be a ridiculous idea. I just know that my brother just had his not chain link, but the fence around his pool taken down last year. And they're kind of, they're black opaque panels, and they're made of sort of a, I don't know, maybe a polymer. Anyway, just maybe something to look into, because drilling into rock is never ideal.
Well, I guess it really depends on, and that's a conversation, and Kevin, for you and Jason have, is what's the contribution of the township going to be? Because I know when Steve was originally reviewing it, it was more like on that land, if you were put it behind the geo tubes, the original plan was to scrape it all the way down to remove any of the weeds and everything in there. And then it was to put pretty much almost a foot of granular B and A down and just compacted it so it's a solid surface. And then if you end up, I guess, scraping it down, you'll know what you're working with prior to the installation of posts. I'm not too concerned. I guess you'd say about the posts, you just want to know what ground you're working with, obviously, but it's a conversation, I guess, for you guys to figure out. So I guess it's up to, do we want to give them 2 weeks or a month? I know, or just kind of whenever they can kind of come up with it, I suppose. But I think 2 weeks, not really unrealistic to at least have some form of game plan, and then we can go kind of further after that.
The only thing, Brent, is as long as the frost is out, for them to do kind of a site inspection is what I'm getting at. You know, they can't really give us, without, because if the ground's froze yet, I don't know what the weather, they've changed it a few times for the next week, in order to do kind of a rough check, because it's only going to take them a little while when the ground is thawed to see whether or not the type of material, how much surface has to come off and such as well. But they really can't do that, I don't think, if it's froze. So we might want to go a little longer than 2 weeks.
You want to do mid-April kind of deal and see what happens at that time?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me. If we want to do mid-April or in 2 weeks, we at least figure out a location, I guess. Yeah. Like that's kind of how I look at it. If we can figure a location, and if the location, say behind the water, geotubes is going to work or not going to work, I guess is the answer we want answered by Jason, Kevin, Daryl. Because if that location is sufficient, then it doesn't matter what the ground is. I'm not too concerned if it's rock or anything. There's a lot of different ways to adhere to any form of product we're dealing with. But I guess the question we want answered is if staff wants it to be developed behind the geotubes or not. So I guess we'll just leave that with you, Kevin, and just let us know prior to the next meeting if you and Jason will be coming to it, if you have more answers. And then if not, then we'll see you again when you're here in April. Okay. Does that sound good with everyone? Okay.
I'll be definitely talking to Daryl on location too, because it's gonna, down the road, it's going to be a factor for him, or it could be a factor for him. Okay, I'll move on to Dana's report. And the month of February, she had lots of zoning inquiries over a full month. And lots of severances, minor variances, applications in place too. So coming up for March and April. we have applied for a shade structure at the splash pad and also Wi-Fi at the McCrae Park and the splash pad.
Yes, go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, through you, Chair. We just got word this morning that there's a new funding opportunity. Some of it is for nonprofits and some of it is for municipalities. It's through the Ontario Trillium, well, it's through the Ministry of Sport, Culture, I don't know what the actual, it's Lisa McLeod's ministry, but it's done through through the Trillium Foundation. So I just wanted to put that on our radar because I think that the community development group could really use this. The Geo Trail would absolutely fit into one of the funding things, and I think that we should take a good hard look at what municipalities are eligible for. It seems like a great fund. I just got it literally an hour ago, so I haven't had an opportunity to really review it.
No, thanks for that, Jen. And obviously we'll look into it the best we can.
I'll bring it to the EACDG at our next meeting.
As of for my report, I think I'm pretty well completed. Any input or further information from council? Direction? No.
Nope, seems good there, Kevin, unless council had any more questions, but Merv, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, I just want to jump to another subject. Have you done anything regarding standby generator at the arena yet?
Yes, actually, Annette can help me out on that. We applied for an application, so Annette, can you further input?
Well, can I finish?
Yep.
What occurred to me is that a number of years ago, we purchased a diesel standby for the office that turned into a what can go wrong has gone wrong. So it's probably sitting somewhere, taking up space and collecting dust. And I was wondering if that would be suitable to run your arena.
I haven't seen that unit in a while, and I don't know.
No, you were with the roads when that happened.
Yeah, I am.
It's in storage. It's in storage somewhere. I still believe. I don't think we got rid of it. It's in storage somewhere.
No.
Isn't that in town, down in behind the at the town? At our last tour, I think we looked at it.
It very well could be, Tim.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of cursing going on with that.
What's that?
I said there's a lot of cursing going on with that one.
I'll give you a little hint before you start at it that occurred at the township office. When the electrician hooked the double disconnect up to the township office, he hooked it up on the feed side of the meter rather than on the use side of the meter, which meant we were going to be paying for our own electricity. So be sure when they do the double disconnect, they put it on the right side of your meter, the use side. That was just the beginning of what can go wrong, did go wrong.
Yes, yep. I think, and Annette, do you have any more information on the generator?
We did submit an application. I haven't heard back yet. Hopefully by the end of this month or early April, we'll start to hear back on a lot of our applications that we made in December and January.
Perfect. Thanks, Annette and Kevin, for the update there. So any other questions for Kevin? Seeing none. Perfect, Kevin. Well, thank you for coming here today. It's a gorgeous day, and just enjoy your last couple of weeks with ice, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kevin. Okay, Annette, we'll move on to your report now. So I'll give you the floor now.
Thank you. So I don't know if there was any questions on the February financials, but they're in your package. As the committee's aware, we reviewed the budget on February 19th. which went well, and a presentation and bylaws will be forthcoming in April and May. All departments did review update to the fee bylaw, so I will bring that forward in April for council's review, so that you can decide whether those increases in fees make sense to you as they've been recommended by the department heads, and if so, then I'll bring it forward to council. As well, working on a formal complaint policy. So this came out of the water and sewer department as I think a requirement, or not a requirement, but something the ministry would definitely like to see. So I've worked on that for all of the departments and sent around a draft policy, and they seem to have approved it. So I'm working on a standard operating procedure now as well. So that'll come forward for council's review. Updated job descriptions were all submitted for pay equity review, which is ongoing with multiple other municipalities. There's 5 of us working together to get that done. And right now I'm in the works of collecting asset management plan proposals from different firms so that I can present something to council for awarding that according to our procurement bylaw going forward, so we can take on that project. As well, as Kevin mentioned, he is working with different firms. We've asked them for proposals on designing the ramp for accessibility for the curling club, the first part of that project. And the senior leadership team continues to meet and review all kinds of issues that cross departments. And for tomorrow's meeting, we will be discussing the dog park once again. So those are working out actually very well. Bylaw. So again, this Friday, we'll be meeting to discuss the changes to the zoning bylaw in regards to the definitions of trailers and recreational vehicles and provisions for those. So we'll have that public meeting starting at 10 a.m. on Friday. And Joint Health and Safety Committee met again in the month of February. And as Kevin was mentioning, one of his staff members was the one taking the first aid course. So I think we're up to date on that. And we've just kind of went through who has what and what is required, and getting the training records and the inspection records all up to date for everybody, for all the different departments. So that's going well. And thank you, Sandra, for taking the lead on that one. And the chief building officials statistics are also attached if you have any questions there, and as well as Dana's report, which I think Kevin already reviewed. So unless there's any questions, that's all I have to report for this month.
Yes, go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, Chair. Let's go back to the public meeting coming up this Friday. Can I just get some clarity from council, please? Annette and I did receive an email asking and Dana, asking if we could change the agenda so that presentations went before written comments. That is not possible. The agenda is set. It is set through the Planning Act. So what I'd like to know from council, Annette has already responded that there are no PowerPoint presentations. But what I'd like to know is, if somebody has written a letter or 3, do we consider that their presentation, or do we in fact allow people that have already written a letter to also do a, say, 3-minute presentation on Friday?
Go ahead, Tim.
My personal opinion is if they've written in their concerns that they've had their time. That's one way to move along. Because like you said, there's people that have wrote in with 3 different opinions and they have been read. So I think we'll, as far as I'm concerned, that's their opinion when they've given it to us in writing.
Thank you.
Merv, go ahead.
And I agree with Tim, and I think if we don't, we're going to have to set a cutoff point on this. It can't go on forever and ever. After Friday's meeting, I think that is the cutoff point. Then we make a decision. We can't go on with this forever and ever.
But I also think that council needs some time to discuss what we've heard.
Oh, definitely.
Right, we need to get to that point. I just want to make sure that I'm being fair to the people of specifically Lake Clear, but all of Bonnechere Valley. But I also want to make sure I'm being fair to council and staff and not, having this meeting go until supper time on a Friday. I just, so I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that I'm being fair all around.
The other question, Jen, is How many people are you going to give a 3-minute presentation to? Is it going
Well,
to?
that's the other challenge. But I would think at this point, if anybody really wanted to give their opinion, I'm assuming that they would have already sent in a letter. But Annette, I think you and I, after my Board of Health meeting on Thursday, we'll have to put our heads together, and maybe I could get a list of the people that have written letters, if that's possible. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jack.
Question I have is how many letters are outstanding? Do we have an idea? How many more have to be read? I think last time we were about 50. So has that number jumped to like 150, or is it it's still basically at 50, right? And then the other thing we have to look at is how our procedure is laid out when we're doing a public meeting. If there's any room in there allocated for comments after the fact, right? Or discussion. So you can't vary too much off of what our procedural steps are, Jen. You know what I mean?
This is exactly what I'm saying, Jack. No, so we've already responded that no, we can't do presentations before the written comments. That's a procedural thing. So then the next step after the written comments are the presentations, and then comments, questions from council. At that point, it isn't a debate between us and the general public. It's a discussion amongst the 5 of us with help from our staff. So I will make that abundantly clear at the beginning of this public meeting. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't being unfair by saying, no, you've written 2 letters, so no, you don't get 3 minutes. And I will at some point have to limit it. So I just wanted to know that I had your support for this Friday.
As long as we stay within our scope of our procedural steps, there's no issue, right? If
Dead
you
on
step,
correct, Jack.
if you step outside of that, then you're opening your door for issues and concerns.
In reality, we can't. I
know what I mean.
I can't suspend the rules of a public meeting.
No.
So.
No, and I'm in agreement with everyone's been talking about today, just on just keep it as we've said. And if we have allotted a significant amount of time for people to submit letters, information, people have submitted multiple times. So if there's anything new to be said, there's no reason why someone can't, I guess, send us a video if they want to make a presentation. But if it's, in my opinion, it's not necessary. Just follow what we've set in place and just move it forward.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Annette, was there anything else in your report?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay, if there's no more questions from council, then thank you, Annette, for your report. And then we can move on to correspondence now. And we can move on to correspondence. A, was there any discussion for the 3rd annual general meeting? Yes, go ahead, Annette.
So I just wanted to mention to council that Sandra and I plan to attend the AMCTO meeting. As you know, I serve on the board. I'm running for re-election this year, and as well, Sandra's serving on the Zone 6 board. So we do plan on attending. Now it is virtual, so the cost will be minimal, and they are in the proposed budget. So unless there's any concerns with that, we would like to go ahead and register for that conference in June.
Perfect. So everyone's all good. Merv, any questions?
I was just going to comment on the correspondence.
Okay. Yep.
I guess, Jen, you got the Solicitor General's attention there with the letter we got back.
Yeah, she's not a fan of mine.
It sounds like there might be a little funding available to help with this thing.
Yeah, and I will look into it once some of our neighbors have already done one, and then we'll figure something out to bring back to council. But at this time, I'm shaking it off.
It's not on correspondence, and I forgot earlier. Congratulations on winning that election north of Highway 7.
Okay, Merv, don't steal my thunder. That's in my mayor's report. Please.
Okay, sorry.
So I had two things in correspondence B, Mr. Chair. Number one, the letter from the senior center needs to be forwarded to the Eganville Generation Corporation, as we do not donate taxpayers' money. And we can discuss that with the El Presidente and the board and the operator. And the seniors games, God love them. I'm not sure that they'll not be canceled again this year. So what I would say is that we should keep this in the queue, maybe, Annette, for at least a letter of support from us.
Yes, go ahead, Tim.
Since we're on the correspondence there, I read the one that jumped out at me was North Algonquin with the bus stop. I think we should support that as well, because with the Mennonite community, not only that, there's a lot of people in our area, I think, are missing the bus, and it was kind of familiar to see it when I was running north again, and I forgot what we lost here in the area. You don't see it coming through anymore, so I'd like to support North Laguna with that as well.
Yeah, no, Tim, that was in one of my notes for correspondence B, was to send a letter of support to North Algona. And then I agree, Jen, the Eganville Senior Center, to send that to the EGC for discussion. And then I guess for the Barnard Museum lottery license, my understanding, they're just looking, it's a standard procedure, and then we're just looking for a yes from council, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone's hands. Yep, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, with regard to the bus stop, I'm glad Tim brought that up. Mayor Brose phoned me actually to sort of alert me to the fact that this resolution was coming. And I said, what do you mean transportation? And he said, well, like Greyhound. And I thought, boy, I haven't thought of Greyhound in years and years and years. So I'm glad to hear that we're going to support this. And I'll let James know.
No, it makes it's a great, no, it'll be a great letter of support, especially like I've taken the Northland Planet Times, went to school in North Bay. And like even one of my workers, they took the Greyhound, the closest stop is in Cobden for us. So it's, if we can get, say, 2 days a week out towards our end of the highway, it'd be definitely appreciated, I'm sure. And then I guess the only question I had was for the KHR proposed amendments. The letter for there, is that something that we would send to the EGC, or is that more a township? Jen, go ahead.
It is a township thing. My concern with this letter is we definitely contributed last time, and I think Jack can agree it actually worked out to our benefit. My concern is though that there's no money attached to this letter.
Jack, go ahead.
I think at this time, they don't know what's involved, and it's still an open-ended. They don't really know what the cost is going to close the deal on this. So I think they're just reaching out and seeing if they can, I don't know. I don't know where you want to go with this, but
I just don't know how you say yes to a request without there being a monetary, like the seniors center asked for a specific amount of money that we can forward to EGC, but I don't, and definitely this is a township thing. This is not a donation. It is procedural, but my question is how much? Like, I think that we need to know that.
Go ahead, Annette.
Is it something where we can just send a letter back saying that we do support the initiative? However, at this time, we can't we can't give them confirmation on financial support, although they have our moral support. Financial support, we'll have to wait until the numbers come down and they actually make a formal request. So it's sort of getting back to them, letting know we're still behind you, we still support you, but until we can see the numbers and what you're spending it on and what you're doing it with it, we're not going to allocate money towards it, but we do still support the initiative at this time. Is it something like that?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Was there any other further discussions for correspondence B anyone wanted to bring up? Annette, was there anything else you need from council for direction, or everything's good? Perfect. Perfect. Does anyone need a break at this time, or we're good to move into new unfinished business?
I'm
Okay.
good.
Everett seems perfect. Awesome. So we'll move on to the mayor's report. Go ahead, Mayor
So-
Murphy.
Thanks, Brent. And I apologize, my internet was doing some funky chicken things when Tim was talking. I didn't know what was going on there. So I'm not going to do a full mayor's report today. As you all know, I like to wait until things are ratified at county. So I like to do the full report the first meeting of the month. But I've asked Sandra to leave this on the report because I do want to tell you guys two things. Number one, as Merv mentioned, I was in fact elected to the EORN Board of Directors last Friday. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but I think we're poised through this new bill that Laurie Scott put forward at the legislature. I think that we're probably in a really good position to make this EORN project a significant priority for the province and the feds. The other thing I wanted to tell you that I touched on earlier is that job offers were sent out yesterday. And when I say job, I mean job, they are volunteers. I was appointed as chair of finance for the Ontario 2022 Winter Games for next year. So trust me, guys, I will be asking for some of your help in this initiative. I will tell you that I got both job descriptions, one for EORN and one for the chair of the finance of the Winter Games yesterday. And when Dave got home, I said, wow, I'm wondering if I bit off more than I can chew. There's a lot in both descriptions. So I'm gonna have to really be on top of it, but who needs to sleep? Anyway, so I'm really, really, really excited about both of these. And I'm really looking forward to shining a light on Renfrew County and Bonnechere Valley and our incredible need for broadband, you know, a gig for all. And you know, it was perfect timing, you know, trying to do this by Zoom and running for this board when they had to yell at me that my internet was going in and out while I was doing my speech. So, you know, ironic, but I think it proved forward that, you know, we're victims of not having good broadband and no cellular service. So yeah, so I'm really excited, and I will give a full update at our first meeting in April because I've got a lot to report on. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome there, Jen. So we'll move on to number 2, the EGC update. Do we have an EGC update? It was on the agenda. Okay, we have our meeting scheduled at 3 p.m. So then for library updates, short and sweet, pretty much we're still working towards the 50th anniversary celebrations. We will be doing an online auction. So we'll be releasing more of that information coming up as a additional fundraiser. So there's a lot of great items and a lot of heritage items that will be on display as well. So just look out for that, and I'll keep everyone informed. They're also doing a 50th anniversary survey as well. So the committee is working towards that. It's a pretty wide standing survey, so I'll share that when it's finalized. Then they are working on Summer Authors Festival, so it's different, but it will be virtual. So I'll have more details pertaining to that. We're in the planning stages. And then the Seed Library is continuing with Claire Lapine. And then we're just doing a lot of policy reviews as well. And we do have a replacement CEO for Nicolina that has been getting trained on, and Susan has been at our last board meeting as well. So the transition should be very seamless and great. So if there's any other questions, just let me know, but I'll keep everyone informed pertaining to the 50th anniversary. And there's a couple other surprise things that the board will be taking on to support some of the ratepayers as well. So seeing no questions, so then I guess dog park, we can, we've already discussed that with Kevin, and we'll just wait for the staff's report. And then pertaining to the Ontario Fire College resolution, was there any discussion pertaining? Seeing none, so we will have a resolution that will come forward. So then number 6, the Barnard Museum, we've already said yes, standard procedure. Doesn't seem there's any more discussion. Then number 7, tax adjustments. So we've all been sent those. Any discussion pertaining to the tax adjustments? Seeing none, it looks like that is everything. A new one finished. We didn't have any additions. The next meeting will be the first week of April. So we can see each other then, but we do have a planned meeting this Friday as well. I don't see media attached, so if they want to contact anyone here, then they can follow up. We don't have any closed sessions scheduled, so then I will just ask for an adjournment of the meeting. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Tim? And all in favor?
So
Yes, go ahead, Jen.
do we want to wait until 3 o'clock for AGC, or do we want to take 10 minutes and just come back? There was no time attached to the agenda, only to the Zoom.
So I'm fine if everyone wants to do a 2:30 meet at 2:30, so in 10 minutes. If everyone's fine with that, I'm good with it.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good. As everything is working okay for you there, Jack? Good.
Okay, and Annette, that's good with you. Perfect. So I guess just we'll just update Connie. And then I'll see everyone in about 10 minutes. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thank you.